So let's start with the exam assignments. First we need to update everything. So we are using yum update-y. Updating everything is important because OpenStack is really dynamic software. You can see that only 4 packages need to be updated. Let me do the same thing on server 2. Yum update-y. Next we need access to the OpenStack repositories. So let me do a yum repo list, which is showing us OpenStack kilo, which is good. So to take care of the installation, we want to have Packstack. Yum install-y OpenStack. Packstack is going to do that for us. And that has already been installed, which is good as well. Now we need to generate an answer file, so that would be packstack --gen answer file root answers.txt or whatever kind of name you want to use for the answers file. And then we can make sure that everything that needs to be done is included in the answers file. So let's open it in an editor. And let's make sure that we've got it all. So we need ntp config ntp servers equals pool.ntp.org. What else do we need? We need compute hosts. So the compute host is going to be 20 only and not 10. We need the networking type to be set to VXLAN, which should normally already be the case. So VXLAN, yeah, the config Neutron ML2 type drivers VXLAN, and we see VXLAN in here as well. And we need to configure bridging. So the bridge on the BR1 is going to be dealt with using the OVS bridge parameters. Here we've got OVS bridge mappings equals visnet1 br eth1. So that is going to map the physical network 1 to a bridge with the name BR-ETH1, and we've got BR-ETH1, which is going to be mapped to the ETH1 interface. This is something that sometimes goes wrong in the Packstack procedure, so let's make sure that we check once we are done that the physical bridges have been created correctly. Now in the tasks we see ETH0 for network connectivity, ETH1 needs a physical IP address range, we need a private overlay network, a public network. That is things that we are going to do from the Horizon web server. The assignment on server 1, configure BREX as the external bridge. We need to do that. We are going to do that after the Packstack part of the installation. Configure BR-ETH1, it's a network bridge for networking between server 1 and server 2. That is what we have just done, so we are okay there. Next we need Horizon to accept SSL. That is going to be Horizon SSL. Let's set that to yes. Then we need some Cinder volumes. So that would be a config Cinder whatever. We've got Cinder install, and I'm looking for the next one, which is This is an interesting one as well, by the way. Config Cinder backend. How do we want to use the Cinder backend? The backends that we can see from here is typical backends that don't depend on OpenStack. Later we can put in Swift as well, as we have seen. We're not doing that here. Let me do a next config Cinder volumes create is set to yes. So that is okay. We've got a volume size of 20 gigabytes, which is fine as well. And let's see if we've got anything else that relates to the Cinder volume. So you see there's a lot of NetApp in there. We don't do any NetApp. And that is everything that relates to Cinder. We already specified Nova Compute only on server 2. Then there is this provision, demo. I don't want to have a demo tenant. So let's set that to no. We are going to create a tenant for ourselves. Also, we have the default password. No default password by default, and I'm going to set it to password. And then there's a couple of additional things that need to be installed as well. Swift, Ceilometer and Nagios. So let's look for Ceilometer. Config Ceilometer install equals yes. We have config Swift install equals yes. And what about Nagios? We have config Nagios install equals yes. There is one more thing that needs to be done. And that is config Neutron OVS tunnel IF equals ETH1. This is the last of the settings that are needed to configure the OpenStack networking. So this is going to make sure that the VXLAN tunnel is using ETH1 and not the external interface. And that is basically everything we need for the Packstack part of the configuration. So we are going to start Packstack and drink a cup of coffee because, as you know, this will take some time. Packstack answer file root answers txt. This is prompting me for a password to log in to both machines using SSH. It's funny that it's doing it on the local machine as well. It's a good idea to wait until it is beyond the SSH keys, because if it's prompting for passwords or anything else, you don't want to miss it. So it's about 15 minutes later now, and we have reached a finished state. We can read installation completed successfully and finalizing. So apparently it has completed successfully. There is also some additional information. This is an interesting one. We see that Network Manager apparently was still active on 192.168.4.20. Just make sure to disable Network Manager before moving on. And we also need to reboot the node to make sure that everything is okay. We have a Keystone RC admin, which is for everything we want to do on the command line, and we can go to the Horizon interface, of course. The Horizon interface is on IP address /dashboard or name /dashboard. Before we move on, there's a couple of things that we need to take care of. First, etc hosts. There needs to be an etc hosts containing the information about the nodes. We don't have any, so let's put in some IP addresses for server1.example.com, server1, and the other server as well, server2.example.com, server2. We SCP the etc hosts to server2 etc. Yes, we want to do that. And there we go. We are there. Now also I want to do an IP-A to make sure that we've got IP addressing. And what we can see here is that we apparently don't have any network configuration anymore on ETH1. We do have a BR ETH1, so it is a bridge interface and it is connected to the integration bridge. Okay. Let's also do a systemctl status on network manager to make sure that it is inactive and dead. So it is. On server 2, I already disabled network manager following the error message, and I already checked the configuration to see what is happening here. Can we ping server 1? We can ping server 1, so we are okay here. Now, the last part of this stage of the installation procedure is OpenStack status. OpenStack status is going to show the availability of everything. We see that Nova Compute is inactive on this node, but we don't care because we have Nova Compute activated on the other node. We can see that MySQLD is inactive, which is normal because we are using MariaDB. Systemctl status MariaDB is going to show us that MariaDB is up and running. This is just a small inconsistency in the scripts, so I don't care about it. On server 2 we can also do OpenStack status, and we should see Nova Compute, which is currently being active, and that is good. So that means that we can now go to the web interface. Before moving on and starting the real configuration of the project and the user and everything, let's do web interface. Now this is probably a web interface that has been used before, which will also be the case when you are doing this from home. We see untrusted connection. Yes, we understand, and we want to add an exception and confirm the security exception. And that's looking quite okay. We can log in as admin with the password that we've been assigned. Oh, and we get invalid credentials. That is weird. Let me check again. Still invalid credentials. This might be a browser issue. So in the browser I want to wipe all history. Time range to clear everything, yes. And we really want to wipe everything. Also, just to make sure that we don't have any issues with previous certificates, we go Edit Preferences in the browser, we select Advanced, and there we see certificates. I want to see the certificates, and somewhere in there we've got the OpenStack certificates, and we are just going to delete both of them. So delete and delete. This is normally not something that you need to be doing on the exam, but while working from home you will have those issues. And let me also do double check. Grab default pass in D root and source txt. We can see default pass is password, but you know what? There is also a Keystone password, which actually is Keystone admin password. And that is what we are going to use while logging in through the Horizon interface, and that is not password. So let me copy it here and let me get back to Horizon. which is server 1 HTTPS, that is /dashboard. I understand the risk. Add exceptions. We confirm the security exception. And first, just to make sure that it was not a typo or anything, trying to log in with password, which is not going to work. We're logging in with the Keystone password, and here you can see we have used Keystone password. So while you are setting this up, please consider using config admin pw, config keystone admin pw as well. Let's go to the user account in Horizon. Let's do a change password there to make sure that it matches. So you can see it's not that difficult to correct a little error that we've done while using Packstack, but you need to be aware of what you're doing. And now we've got an OpenStack configuration that is ready to be configured. I'm going to do that in the next sub lesson.